Morning, everybody, and welcome to the New Jersey Wedding Podcast, the most popular wedding podcast in New Jersey, hosted by Andrea Pertel, who is a wedding officiant that covers Central and South Jersey, and myself, Celia Milton. I cover North Jersey. So between the two of us, no matter where you are in New Jersey, you are absolutely safe. So today we're going to talk a little bit, we usually talk a lot about where we were and what we did, but we have
Mhm.
such a great interview with Jeff Tisman, who is just I was like so excited to have him on because his work, he's a photographer. He's based in the Hudson Valley. His work is absolutely gorgeous and he is just so fun to work with. You'll get the sense of that with his interview, don't you think?
Yeah. I had the pleasure to work with him just a few weeks back at Grounds for Sculpture,
Oh, I'm
and
so jealous.
he travels all throughout New Jersey, New York, and of course, like most photographers, will basically travel anywhere. But he was really great to work with, and his photography,
Oh,
I mean,
his
it
work is
speaks to
gorgeous.
me. I love his work, and he has a real passion for what he does. Yeah, he's been doing this for over 30 years. He's a true artist. So much more than just posing. You stand next to her and you do that.
Get
And
your feet out of the way. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
he is what did he call it? He's a
in the moment.
moment
Yeah.
driven
Moment driven.
photographer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he talked about how he does he might stage a moment but then captures the real moment,
Yeah.
like staging the first look, but then you
Let it just
capture
happen. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
what happens in it. And I love hearing about his background. I love hearing about how he loves what he does.
Hmm.
He when you work with him, it's a real positive energy. He's a real team player. We go to these
Yeah.
venues and it's like, who's going to be our photographer? Who's going to be our DJ? And there are some that you're like, yes, this is
Uh,
great. And there are some like,
oh, not them again. Oh, no. I think something that struck me when he was talking is that, we have so many couples that pick really distinctive locations. They're on the beach. I was at a farm we were at Grounds for Sculpture. I'm so jealous because God, it's such a fabulous location. Oh my God. I've been in two farms in the last 2 weeks, which is kind of weird. But if you pick a location because it's unique and quirky and, expresses your couple personality, you need a photographer who is going to get that. And I think that really came through so clearly in his interview that he does get that. It's like, yeah, you need some portraits, you need pictures with people, you need pictures of people, but they don't have to be boring.
yeah.
And I love that about him. And I think all you need to do really is to go to his website, and that's just going to be it for you because every picture is so infused with the emotion of the moment. It gives me a little bit of goosebumps, honestly.
Yeah,
It's absolutely great.
exactly. That's such a great way to say that. A great description of it, Celia. I he's fun to work with too. I think he puts
Yeah.
his couples at ease. He has a real eye for
Yeah.
this. He makes a relationship with them, and as we've often talked about, photography is really for your wedding day. It's quite an investment
Yeah.
because it's the one thing that you can always look back on. It's the only
It is.
tangible thing other than your spouse that you take them
Your
with you.
spouse and that slow cooker that you got that you didn't register for, but they thought it was a good idea anyway.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
you
this
know
is
what?
what you look back on in 5,
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 years. It's what you show your
Your
children
kids.
and
Yeah.
your grandchildren. Look
Yeah.
at our photos, and his are just timeless. Um, Bright, beautiful, just how you described it. I
Yeah.
I can't get enough of looking through his portfolio, and
I know.
he loves what he does so much that he connects with the couples. He has his you'll see it on his website, his Hitched magazine. It's a
Oh,
journal. It's
gorgeous.
all set up like a magazine of different weddings.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. I think it says a lot. When I went and looked at Hitch, I was like, it really says a lot about not only his dedication to his craft, but the way that he looks holistically at that wedding day.
Mm,
And I feel like looking at the magazine, prospective couples are not only going to get more of a feeling for him and what he does, obviously, because the visuals are all his, but the process in other areas of their wedding, like
Uh-huh.
picking the conversation I mentioned in the interview is like the a person talking about picking flowers. And, we met with four florists and we met with this florist and she didn't talk to us about price. She wanted to know what was our vibe. What do we want? And,
Right.
I think that I looked over two episodes, but I think for people who are planning something that's this big and this important and this expensive that you have absolutely no idea what to even ask somebody, it's a really good window into other areas of your planning besides your photographer. And it sends a message about him that he is cognizant of everything else that's going on that day and how to make that really work for you.
Yeah. 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 He's just really is one of the
I love
best.
it. I love it.
Yeah, got to be
Yeah,
on your short list of
yeah,
photographers to check
absolutely.
out.
Absolutely. And short list and do it fast because he doesn't do a lot of weddings a year.
Yeah,
Uh, he's
he's
very
brilliant.
personalized, and I like that too. That he talked about the fact. I mean, when you book Jeff, you get Jeff, and it's not like, well, you're gonna book with an. I know it's appealing to get photography that seems really affordable, and you look at some of these group websites, and some of the pictures look great, and some of them don't, but it's a completely different experience working with him. It's very vertical from the minute that you talk to him to the minute you get your pictures back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're going to really enjoy this interview with Jeff Tisman Photography. And the links are going to be in our social media site. So you can go to his beautiful website and Instagram and get a feel for him. And then,
Yeah.
give him a call, talk to him, and
Yeah, you'll love him when you
to know
talk
him.
to
You'll
him.
love him. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So
so
there we
anyway,
go. So let's
yeah,
talk to Jeff.
uh,
What do you think?
sounds great.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Want to get married without the stress of a big wedding? Looking for a ceremony that's all about the two of you? Or maybe you just can't wait to say I do. New Jersey Elope can make your dream of an intimate and unforgettable wedding day a reality. Picture this: exchanging vows with the sand between your toes on a beautiful beach, saying I do surrounded by nature in a serene park, or celebrating your love under the elegant arch in my cozy office. So, whether you crave the coastal breeze, the charm of the outdoors, or a private, hassle free setting, we have the perfect elopement ceremony for you. Visit NewJerseyElope.com and start planning your dream wedding today. New Jersey Elope, where your love story begins.
We have a fabulous interview today with one of our area, one of the most well-respected, highly known, and for good reason. Jeff Tisman. He is based in the Hudson Valley, but he covers New York and obviously New York State, New York City, and New Jersey as well, which is a great bonus for all of us who are looking for somebody terrific to record our monumental events. He's fun to work with. I feel like there's a sense that the process of documenting your wedding is going to be as fun as being there with him on the day. And you are going to spend more time with him than you will with anybody except your significant other. He places a great value on making his couples feel comfortable with him and a little bit uninhibited with him. Not like that, but you know what I mean. But and the results are they're playful and lovely and singular. And we're just going to let him talk because that's going to be better than me talking about him. So, Jeff, let's talk. Let's talk photos.
All right, let's talk photos. What would you like to know?
Whatever you want to tell us.
Yeah.
Well,
What's your process like? Well, like if I called you and said, Jeff, we're getting married. We need pictures. We want to hear about you.
my biggest thing that I try to do, there's so many photographers today that kind of fall into I don't know, a comfort level, let's say, and they say and they get burned out and this and that. I don't feel any of that. I absolutely love what I do. I
Mhm.
I've been doing this over 30 years. I've shot over 1,200 weddings now. I would say documented, not shot. Um, and I think what I love to do is really capturing my couples. I want the personalities. I want them to have fun and I want them to have an experience.
Mhm.
And that's what I really want to bring to my couples on the day of just energy, fun, and giving them an experience as well as, they're living their wedding day. But I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, and I don't want to go on too
Yeah.
long because I know we're a limited time, but that's my biggest thing is to every wedding I photograph that day is that couple's wedding. I don't go into anything like I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, oh God, another wedding at Grounds for Sculpture. I love it. I don't care if I shoot the same venue 30 times a year. I
It's
go into that. This is their day. It's a completely different story. It's a completely different feeling, a completely different energy. And that's why I absolutely love photographing weddings still.
I was saying to Celia before, as we were preparing for the podcast, what I said to her is, you can really see he has a passion for his work. You see it in his photos and in your Hitched magazine. It really comes out in your work and working with you. Um, and about your photography, because I'm so drawn to your photographs. I know a wedding photographer has to get those kind of portraits of the family, and you have a good way of getting all of those portraits, but also your your photographs are so fun and bright and uplifting. How would you describe your style, if you have a style?
Yeah, so I started, it's funny sometimes people, and I kind of date myself when I say it. So I used to shoot rock bands for a living. I
Oh,
started,
fun.
yeah, in rock and roll photography. And for 8 years, I basically lived on the road. And I I documented rock photography. I would go out and photograph bands for tour books and album covers. And it all
Sounds
started,
great.
yeah, it was
Sounds like
amazing.
fun.
It was, yeah, it was fun. It was
That you
basically,
have some stories there. That's another
I got
podcast.
some stories. They'd be a little, they're not PG. They definitely would be R-rated. But it almost was like Wayne's World. I was the guy backstage with the backstage pass showing people, hey, look, I got backstage pass. But there was a woman at a record company who wanted her wedding shot, and it's a funny story. And she's like, Jeff,
Wow.
you shoot my wedding. I said, I've never shot a wedding, and she says, well, I've never been married. And said, okay. And I brought my rock and roll edge into her wedding, and she loved it. And I was like, oh, so I can photograph weddings not doing those same typical things that everyone was doing. And I
Mm.
just did that and brought that style and that energy. And that's why it's funny when people are like, oh, now I get it, because I
Yeah.
wanted to have that rock and roll fashion edge to it. So it's not just wedding photography. So that's how it started. And that's kind of like, and plus my influences, a lot of times when people ask, I'm not sure, people know the photographer Annie Leibovitz, and
Oh
there's a
yeah.
woman, Peggy Serrata, Danny Clinch, Mark Seliger. He was the guy who shot for Rolling Stone. Like those are my influences, and they
Okay.
still are today. And I study their work and I follow their work, and I want to bring that kind of stuff into my weddings. So when people look at a photo, I want my couples to show a photo like, that's your wedding photo? And they're like, yeah, isn't it cool? And they're like, oh my God, mine doesn't look like that. Mine was shot on the gazebo or, on the bridge with the flowers. And I'm like, they're like, ours weren't. So that, it's definitely a niche that I'm kind of trying to get to, but that's what my style is. It's like rock and roll and fashion and energy. So,
I
uh,
love it.
yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Very, you're an artist, so much more than just, someone with a good camera, and 'cause you can all take the portrait ones. I just want to tell our listeners that we will be putting a link to Jeff Tisman Photography, his website, and his Instagram on our social media sites. So you can just click on the
Mm.
links and go check out his work. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
it really speaks to the process. And we were talking about Hitched and how in depth that is. I wish I had Hitched magazine for every one of the couples I write, because sometimes I can't even get like three answers out of them. You seem to be much better at
Right,
teasing
right.
information out of people than I am. It's like,
Uh,
but
Yeah,
I think that, the process of putting that together shows your dedication to the idea of like really getting to know your couples and their personality as a couple, and being able to interpret that into visual images, which I don't know that everybody can do that. There's
yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's easy to like line up the bridal party. There, okay, there they all are. There's 15 of them with two people in the middle. Ta-da.
Yeah,
mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
The Hitched Mag, to let the listeners know, you can find Jeff's Hitched. It's like a magazine or a journal or a blog on his
Mhm.
website that it reads like a magazine. It's absolutely beautiful. You can get a
Thank
real
you.
insight to his work by clicking
That
on
is, it's
that
gorgeous.
link.
Yeah, so that all came about again, going back to my rock and roll days. I used to love, like, I don't want to sound like this is bragging, but I've been published like worldwide. And I used to go into Manhattan because back in the day when the magazine stands were like a thing,
Yeah,
they had all international magazines, and I had an agent in Europe that sold my stuff everywhere. And I would just, it would like I pick up a rock magazine, and I had covers, and sometimes I'd open up and it's like a double page spread, and it was always so like exciting to see it. No matter how many times I've been published, you pick up a magazine, it's like, holy, I got the cover, I got the back cover, whatever it was. And for years, I've been wanting to do this because to me, blogs are so boring. It's like, here's a
yeah,
hundred photos and you scroll through them. There's no context to them. There's no meaning.
Yeah.
And again, I wanted my couples to have that feeling. They got the cover of the magazine. They got
yeah.
the double page spread. And the reaction has been amazing. Like they
I'm sure it
absolutely
has.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
So
was
it's a,
saying I would love to. Could you imagine if Jeff contacted you after your wedding and said you're going to be on the cover of my magazine? It's I'm on the cover of Rolling Stone. I mean,
yeah, that's what it is. So I'm trying to do like my next
that
issue
song.
coming up. I have so basically I do a like so much like you guys, it's like a 10-15 minute interview with the couples. I ask them a couple of questions, and then my wife, I actually got to give her credit. She's the kind of designed the entire thing. I just kind of I'm the editor in chief, I guess you could say, and she
it's
gets mad at
beautiful.
me when I say, this picture has to like I have a vision. I have definitely a clear vision for it, and it's kind of funny. She rolls her eyes, but she does it. But in the end, it looks amazing. So
Oh, it's
that's
it's beautiful. And I think it's, what's interesting about it is that for people who are going there to read it, there is very solid advice for sourcing the other people that you need to make that wedding come together. Like, how did you pick your florist? Well, I called this florist, and the one I read this morning, it's like I called this florist. They never even asked me about my budget. They asked us what we
right.
wanted to do. And, I think there's an insight, and what we try to do too is have an insight into the vendors. That's such a cold word, it's like icky. The pros and the artists that we have on the podcast. I'm hoping that like the interviews give our couples that listen to us a little bit of insight into the process, because it's so overwhelming. It's like
Yep.
there's 9,000 officiants in New Jersey, and it's like I'm
Yeah.
and hundreds of photographers, and it's like, how
Mhm.
do you go about ferreting this out if you're a couple? And those conversations, like that couple's conversation with their florist, I thought was like so helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. It was that that's funny. Read that was Amanda and Vinny's wedding. I read that when she was telling it's just shocking. Some like, but again, that goes back to where we started, kind of where people just you're just another it's just another wedding to a lot of different vendors.
Yeah,
And I see it, guys. Like I almost can write a tell-all book with stuff because I've gone to venues, and I'm not going to obviously mention names, but just
yeah,
like, guys, this is the bride's day. We take care of them on this day.
Right.
yeah.
This is the couple's day. Like, we are there for them. And they're just horse with blinders. It's got to get the mass of people from point A to point B to point
It's
C.
true. It's
There's no
true.
thought process, and it's just yeah, my God.
Yep.
I could
Oh, it's fun.
I could
Funny,
go
we were
on for
talking about
hours
that
about that.
before.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
that's a whole nother subject of
Yeah.
Yeah.
just like
I say we could write a book, but we'd never work again, you know?
yes, exactly. Yeah, it would be
That's
a
something after
reality
we do
TV
after
show.
It'd be
retirement.
like the Anthony Bourdains of the wedding industry. It's like, well,
Yeah, right. It would be so, I'm telling, like, it drives me insane when I see it. It's such a bummer. But anyway, yeah, there is one thing I just want to point out. I know we got to end soon. Just I
No,
want
that's okay.
couples to be very aware. I don't know if you guys have seen it in the industry. There are now photographers nationwide because of social media are basically it's called fishing. They could be based in California. I don't know if you guys saw this on September
mm,
21st is one of the busiest days of the year. Actually,
Yeah.
I think that's when we were together, Andrea, was
Yeah.
September 21st. But they are putting things anyway, long story short, they're based in California. They put out fishing all over and they book photography, weddings in New Jersey and California, everywhere. And then at the last minute, they're like, need last minute shooter, somebody, people out there, whether you hire me or someone else, do your diligent work and look at
absolutely.
reviews, see, ask for like I don't even know. I'm telling you, it's gotten so bad, and there are people, like I said, like literally on this September 21st, 3 days before it, there's this girl. She's based in I think California, in New Jersey, like needs 6 lead shooters for this Saturday or something
Oh
like that.
Yeah.
God.
I
Yeah,
think I read about that. I also stay away from, without naming names, like what I would call the big box people. You don't
Yeah.
know who you're getting, even if
yep,
they're located, in the area, and you book your photographer, you might get somebody you really like. You don't know who's going to show up. You don't know their
nope,
style. You haven't
nope.
created um, a you haven't worked with them, you don't know. And on that, let me ask you, when a couple hires you, how do you prepare for the wedding? Do you scout locations? How do you consult with couples about their shot preferences? And
Well, I really get to know them. One of the things that I do, myself and my one of my peers, Drew Noel Photography, who's an amazing photographer.
Oh, I
Also,
know Drew. Yeah.
Drew's amazing, and he and I have been friends forever. And we do something we call a bridal boot camp.
oh,
And
okay.
we do a free seminar for our brides once a year. We get it catered, we have some food and this and that. I have different vendors that come in. I'll have a planner that come in. I have video, hair, and makeup people. And we invite all our brides and with the same-sex wedding, of course, they are welcome to come in and basically we kind of educate them on the day. Here's what's going to happen through years. I'll still be at a wedding and I'll just tell my assistant, like, write that down. We got to talk about that at the next boot camp. Like, and we educate them that way. So that's how it starts with this, kind of seminar I do for my couples,
That's a
which
great idea.
yeah, it's amazing. And I have a hair and makeup artist. One of the ones I have is Colleen, and give her a plug. Her name's Colleen Sparks. She's amazing. She talks, just gives so much advice on hair and make things like as a guy I would never think of. And the couples ask questions and this and that. And then from there, again, I get to know who they are. What do they like to do? And actually, I have a wedding this Friday. It's a funny story. I call them forever sessions, their engagement shoot. And they met at Comic-Con. And I'm like, well, let's do what you
Oh,
guys. And
that's great.
they brought
Yeah.
up Ghostbusters and they had these outfits. And they're like, really? We could shoot in our Ghostbusters outfits? And I did these photos of them on the boardwalk. And the photos came out amazing. And there were little kids coming up to them, taking pictures with them because they thought they were the real Ghostbusters. It
Love
was
it.
so cute. But that's what I want to do, where people just go in, it's another wedding, it's this, it's that. I really try, me personally, dig down and try to get to know who they are and what they want on their wedding day. And the funny thing about it, a lot of the couples are like, I'm like, I talk about the details. A lot of my couples are like, I don't need details, Jeff. Like, I don't, where everyone thinks like you have to do a lay flat where the details are most of my couples don't care about that. So
No.
I don't
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my approach, is to really talk to them and get to know what they want. That's why I still love it. Like I said, when we started, I don't, not every wedding's the same. I don't go in like, do this, do that. It's the same wedding next day. It's like,
Right. Right.
this
Put the rings
couple,
in the shoe. Let's take that
yeah,
shot.
Oh my
yeah,
God,
like,
really?
yeah, like
I
You
some
know,
people don't care about that. So we don't waste our time with that, you
it,
know?
You
it's
So,
have such a
funny.
great presence, at when I worked with you at that wedding at Grounds for Sculpture. But I would think that a lot of couples might be nervous about pictures. I'm that type. I feel like I never take a good picture. I'm camera shy. Something happens to my smile when it's like,
uh-huh.
look at here and smile. Do you have couples that are worried about that they're not going to look good? They're camera shy. They
A
feel they don't look
hundred
good.
percent,
And
a
what do
hundred
you tell
percent.
them then?
I coach them through it all. I mean, I wish we had time. I should send you reviews literally of what you are saying right now, where we were so nervous about the photos, Jeff, and you made it so fun,
Yeah.
because it's coaching. It's not because maybe they're thinking it has to be this way or this way, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, you mean we could do that and have fun? Like you could do whatever you want. These are your photos." And they
Right.
get out of that mindset that it has to be
Yeah.
look like it has to be like when it's on Instagram or Pinterest or something like, well, doesn't everyone do it this way? Like, who cares? Do it your
Right.
way.
Yeah.
And then all of a
It's
sudden they're like, oh, okay, we can do that. And, some of the fun shots, like sometimes like, having couples like toasting with a beer in hand or doing something, and they're just like, oh my God, like, this is so fun. Like, it doesn't have to be wedding photography,
Right. You
you know?
mentioned coaching the couple, and I think that is where wedding photography is different than other kinds of photography because you have to put them at ease, you
Playing
have to
from
coach them, you have
iPhone.
to stage them,
Four.
you have to, you know what I mean?
100%. And that's what I love to do. Like I said, I've been doing this for 30 years. So I used to have to put rock and roll people at ease and stuff, and deal with their attitudes and egos. And I can certainly deal with a guy that doesn't want his photo taken, but you make him look like a rock star and show him the photo, and then he's like, "Oh, all right, this is pretty cool," you know?
Good.
So,
might not be as bad as we think. I know it's so interesting. I have a friend who's a photographer that I've known for years and years, and we talk about there used to be that shot list, the let's reach around and fix his bow tie from let's stare into your
uh,
flowers like you've never seen them before. It's like, my God, look, I have flowers. This is like so
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
And it's 20 years later, but they're still like, let's put the dress in the window,
yep,
let's
yep.
have the shoe and the ring and the lay flats, which I don't really understand personally,
I
but
don't. Yeah, it's
it's like
such a waste of time. And all when I have to do them, if a bride wants them, and I'm doing it, and I hear laughter behind me, I just die a little bit. It's like I joke with my assistant. I'm like, the moment because I'm taking a picture of a freaking life. Like it's the worst. Like I can't believe this is what I'm doing, and they're in the other room, like doing something fun for this.
doing
Yeah.
something I'd like to capture,
For
right?
the show
Yeah.
Yeah,
that I can.
but I will say I do always ask for lists because I one of the things I tell
Sure.
all my couples, don't you do that at every wedding, Jeff? And it's no, I don't. Every wedding is different. So when
Right.
people give me a list, I work right down that list because when they say, Jeff, you didn't get a shot of my uncle with my baby
Right.
suit. I was 5 with my aunt and my nephew. I'm like, what
Right.
are you talking about? You know?
Right. Right.
So now it's give me a list. I will work off that list of family shots. But once we're done with that, that's it.
Jeff, do you have a favorite wedding you've shot or a particular memorable moment from a wedding that stands out to you? Any good story there on a favorite?
How much time do we got
I
left?
know, right? There's probably so many because I love the Ghostbusters one. Yeah.
My God, there are so many. One of the things as well, like when I had my daughter,
Mhm.
15 years ago, my mindset kind of changed and I kind of go into the weddings thinking, this is what I would want on my daughter's wedding day.
Oh,
So things like with a first look with dad and how important it is, or,
Mm.
you know, just it's really wild. Like I always had it, but it has changed dramatically since I had my daughter and what's important, things like that. And sometimes I go into a wedding. It's funny. I work with a planner, and she always will say to me, "Did you shoot the pretty? Did you shoot the pretty?" And sometimes I can walk past $100,000 flower installation that's set up, and I don't I couldn't care less. Like it means not, and I don't mean that in a callous way, but it's like it's so meaningless to me that if there was a moment happening, I could walk right past all that stuff to capture a moment between like a bride and her grandmother, you know?
Right.
And that goes back again, guys. I know we've run out of time, but like where venues, they lose sight of that. There
Yeah.
was a venue I was working at, and I think it was like the bride had just lost her mother. She had a really close relationship with her brother, and they walked down. They tried to whisper right away, and and they took her, and I could see her brother. All he wanted to do was give his sister a hug, and they like, here's the champagne. We have to take you away. Get you to cocktail hour. And it's like, can you
Yeah.
just like stop, take a step back and just observe what's happening here, you know? And I just wish I could almost go to venues and educate them on these kinds of things because it happens at almost every single venue. They want to get the bride and groom out, get them up, bustle their dress, get them into the, instead of just letting the moments happen. And that drives me crazy as a moment-driven photographer. Like as much as I love portraits, I want to capture moments because we're all not here forever. And one of my actually my moment you want to talk about, I did a wedding last January, and I had a really close connection because my dad passed away from lung cancer,
Oh,
and
sorry.
my bride was talking, her dad had lung cancer, made it to the wedding, and we made sure we did a special reveal with him and his daughter, and he
Oh,
almost fell over, like he put his hand on his son and gave her, and I captured this entire process, like everything, because we made time to allow this moment to happen. So it was a, I call them a staged candid, where I'll set the stage for it, but it's a real moment. And
Right.
the dad passed away, I think it was like 6 weeks after the wedding.
oh,
These are the last photos she has with her father. And it's what's more important, that moment or a lay flat, you know, of some
Right.
bunch of details like these are the shoes I wore. Who cares? You know? And it's like
Right.
that moment. So that's what I want. I want to capture these moments that these people are going to have because moments are fleeting. And it's like, you know, and people talk about the price of things, and it's like you think that's expensive. Wait till the photos are all you have left. You know,
Right. Right.
like
And that is the only thing that you have left
yep,
after your
yep,
ceremony to look
yep.
back on. That's why I think finding the right photographer that suits you is so important. Don't be, I know budgets are real, but don't be so price driven on it. There are other
Yeah,
ways to cut out, you know. I
yeah,
think because
yeah.
that's what you have, like
that's what you
5
have.
years, 10 years, 20 years later, it's the
It.
photos you're
This
looking
is
at,
it.
and you
Yep.
want them to be
Yep.
timeless.
Yep. Yep.
And you want to remember the people that were at your wedding that maybe you don't have in your life anymore.
Exactly.
You know, there's an heirloom quality
Yeah.
to the photos that there's no heirloom quality to that fourth crock pot. Okay, there really isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with social media and these phones today, people they've kind of lost sight of the importance of photos, and
Yeah.
they just sit on a phone or they sit on a hard drive, and you know it's a bummer. It's kind of lost some of its meaning until it's too late in a sense, you know. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
Right.
true.
it's kind of intense.
Exactly. I love the way you speak about, I like this this bridal boot camp or and how you
That's a
mentioned
great idea. Yeah.
the other vendors, the hair and makeup, the it and even when we speak about venues and there's an importance on knowing, like when I arrive to a ceremony, you become part of the couple's team. Now we're
Hmm.
a team for them,
Hmm.
and we all, and it's fun. It's fun to see who you're working with that day,
Yeah,
right?
it
And
is.
it's kind
Yeah.
of nice when it's like, oh, I work so well with them. This is going to be great. They're fun to
Yeah.
work with, and we're there to support the couple and to work as a team for them.
100%. That's exactly right. We are there for the couple, you
Yeah.
know, and that's what gets lost in a lot of it also. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to lie, there are some videographers I'd like to kill before the end of the wedding, but, we work together and do what you got to do. But Oh
Nothing
my
worse
God.
than showing up and realizing somebody doesn't realize they're part of the team.
Well, the
Yeah.
worst is if I show up and the videographer's already there and he's like, "Oh, I set the details up," and I go in the bed in the bride's room and the veil is there on the bed with the flowers laid out, the veil over
Oh
the
God.
flowers, and then it's like, "Oh my God, dude!" Like it's just, you know what I mean? And I get it. Everyone has their job to do, and this is what he does. And the bride and groom, they are the couple loved it, and it's like I just know I'm like, uh-oh, this is gonna be a rough
It's
day.
like time travel. I actually saw a photo. I don't know where this was. It was definitely nobody that I recommend with the train all laid out in a big circle around the bride and all the bridesmaids' bouquets spaced around
Oh
the edge. It's
God.
like, what is this, 1980? Like I
Yeah,
have
I
to
don't even
be
know if
there.
I
Like,
did that in the 80s when I was shooting.
what the
I don't think
heck?
I
Yeah,
did that. Yeah, that's just like it it is, and again, the couple love that photo, so the person does it, but it's just it's I bet you they do that at every wedding.
probably.
So,
We just
Yeah.
I usually tell my people just, look at full galleries of the people that you're looking at
yeah.
and and pick somebody whose pictures that you love and just like let them do what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Don't,
Let them do what they
just
do.
let them do what they do. That's why you pick them.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust is everything.
Yeah, really.
That's a big thing in it. And most of my night, there's always one or two weddings that's funny. I have a friend, I'm like, oop, got a paycheck wedding today. And it's like, this is how did these people hire me? And you kind of shift your thought process when I'm doing a wedding like that. They're not all like that, where it's like, I want this specific kind of thing. Most of my couples are like, do your thing, Jeff. We love it. But there's
Yeah.
always one or two in the year that are like want, and I'm like, okay, I'm here for them. I used to have an ego where it's like, now I'm like, no, I'm fine with it. Like
Yeah.
that's why, like, even like with styles and stuff like that, it's like I don't want to be the same chef cooking the same thing every day. I like the challenge of, all right, this bride wants something different, or this couple wants something different. I'm gonna, you know, go in and do because I'm there for them.
Right.
It's
I
not.
can relate. I can
Yeah.
relate, like when writing a ceremony. Really, you want that reading and set it every
Yeah.
wedding? There's some really great ones out there. Let's personalize this a little. But I'm here for
Yeah,
you, and if that's what you want, we're gonna do it. But
yeah.
I can throw out some other ideas.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I will show her like, what do you think about this? Like, no, I really like, okay. As long as I get my moments, that's what I'm really
Right.
trying to capture, those moments that are gonna live forever.
I love that moment-driven photography. I
Yeah.
love
Mm,
that. I
I
love
like
Yeah.
that.
that.
So if a couple's looking to hire you, Jeff, do you still have 2025 dates available? You still booking?
Oh
How
yeah, yeah,
far out?
yeah. Yeah, I'm only up to I think 14 for next year right now. So I
Okay.
do 25 a year. So I have 14 right now for next year.
You have openings. Great.
Yeah. I definitely, and of course, so
Good.
talk to them and show them and get to know them. That's the thing, because it is like one of you guys said in the beginning, it's like, you think of all your vendors you're spending the most time with, and it's pretty
Right.
much your photographer.
That's it. Yeah.
So,
And intimate time too. And it's interesting
yeah,
because,
yeah.
we have that intimate time before the wedding and sometimes a little bit after the wedding. But it's, there's picking people that you not only do wonderful, creative, beautiful work in, anybody, whether it's a florist or, even your music people. It's like there's going to be different points in that process where you develop this intimacy. And,
Hmm.
it's important to feel comfortable with the idea that, that you're going to probably tell these people more than you've told your parents. you know
Yes, I think that's a true statement. Yes,
All
for
right, I want
sure.
to tell our listeners again, you can click right on the link, Jeff Tisman, Tisman photography. We will have a link to his beautiful website
Mm,
as well as his Instagram, and you can contact him right from there. You can see all his beautiful photographs, his amazing style. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today. We really
yeah,
appreciate
it
it.
was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Anytime. Happy
And
to
I
be
look
here.
forward to working with you again.
a lot.
Absolutely. I hope you guys have a great rest of the season and good holidays.
This podcast is brought to you by New Jersey wedding officiant Andrea Pertel, owner of For This Joyous Occasion Officiating Services.
And Celia Milton, owner of NJ Vows Now, also New Jersey wedding officiating services. We're up in North Jersey and Andrea is down in Central and South Jersey. So together we cover the whole state, don't we?
Yes. Yeah.